Okay, I'm going to speak of many things. First thing, I'm going to talk about per capita income. Now, per capita income is not an economic measurement; it's a bookkeeping measurement. If it's an economic measurement, you should have marginal returns on per capita income with respect to environment issues, social issues, and cultural issues, right? So that I mentioned earlier. I challenge a lot of economists in the world on this issue. They are not replied to me. So per capita income is a accountancy issue, bookkeeping issue, and according to these economists, these Newtonian economists, I call them Newtonian because you can go to infinity. The per capita income can go to infinity. I am saying you can't do that. There is something wrong. There is something called limits to growth. Okay, I mean there's book by Meadows, Meadows, and I forget the name. Then you have 30-year update, limits to growth. Okay, now I have coined the word hegemonster. That is hegemony plus monster. So if a country is not respecting other countries and they are using this, they don't care for ethics, then you get a hegemonster. So West doesn't use. I have coined this term. They have not accepted this term because if you use the word hegemonster, because they use hegemony but they don't use the word hegemonster. So I am doing a lone battle to get this thing you used hegemonster. The academics in West will never use this word. If you use the word hegemonster, their grants will be cut off. So that's the reason why they don't use hegemonster. So I talk two things, right? Hegemonster, hegemony and monster, hegemonsterism, and that's something I have used. And some people have endorsed my coining of the word. So I used on two things: marginal returns on per capita income, hegemonster. Now I am saying these 500 years of hegemonster. The symbol of hegemonsterism is Queen Victoria, not Donald Trump or anything. I am saying Donald Trump is a friend of the South. Why? Because he has exposed what the West is about. So if you take the previous president, he was also and his vice president, they were encouraging genocide in Palestine. Now if you take, there is some agreement, Sykes-Picot, right? That is where the agreement where after the Ottoman Empire fell apart, there is an agreement between French and the British and the Americans to carve up the Arabic countries, so so that they could rule the thing. So what Iran is trying to do is get rid of this Sykes-Picot agreement. So I am saying Israel comes from this agreement. Israel comes officially, it comes in 1948, but it's there in the. So I am saying Israel is a colony of United Nations, but they don't say colony. They say that it is a protectorate. But I am using different word. Now Donald Trump is a friend of the South. He is causing a lot of violence and things like that, but he has exposed what the Western countries are, right? What they were doing for 500 years. So he is contributing a lot of violence in the world, but he is destroying the world order. But who is actually the enemy of the South, it is Mark Carney of Canada, because he is trying to reorganize this Western dominance in a different, slightly different mode, and even the European countries want to keep him as leader. So if you ask who is more dangerous to the South, it is not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is promoting violence, and he is very unpredictable. Now Donald Trump wants to use nuclear option. That means Chinese and Russians also use that, and also it is possible that Pakistan will use it. At one point, they might use it. So if Donald Trump goes down the nuclear path, then other countries also will use, right? Now, we saw one European leader saying that he should speak to the Russians, because without energy you can't do anything. That is the whole basis of my thesis, or not the whole thing, part of it. Without entropic capital you can't do anything. With technology you can't do that. But anyway, we should consider Donald Trump as a friend of the South. He is causing a lot of hardship and a lot of violence, but he is destroying this. He is a catalyst for destroying this 500-year-old hegemon. Now, if you take the ICC, International Criminal Court, there was a precursor to that, which is based on Yugoslavia. The Western countries, at that time, the Chinese and the Russians were not that strong. Western countries used ICCY. The last name comes Yugoslavia, and Western countries used this ICC against. It was not ICC, it was given a different name. ICC was not born at that time. They used it against the Orthodox Church. So Western countries is against the Orthodox Church. Right? You have to understand, Western countries are against the Orthodox Church, and it is the Russians who are the, you can say in a way, they are defenders of the Orthodox Church. So Western countries used precursor to ICC to harass African leaders and then the leaders of the Orthodox Church, and Western countries bombed part of the Yugoslavia because they mainly belong to the, but they said that we are protecting human rights and things like that. But this is the same thing they said about Gaddafi, right? So now if you take human rights come from Protestant Chintane, and Western countries use human rights to suppress the South. You can say that Western countries use human rights to have anal intercourse with the Southern leaders, right? Human rights is not a universal thing, it comes from Protestant Chintane. And they will use, like the ICC, they will use human rights to have anal intercourse with the Southern leaders. Okay? So that's my view on human rights. I mean, certain concepts in human rights are good, but they, like the ICC, okay, when it comes to ICC, you have to mention Albanese Francisca. She only talked about this genocide, and a lot of industrial entities were part of the genocide, and Donald Trump says we have to get rid of the ICC because the International Criminal Court was used mainly against the African leaders, but also so-called leaders of the Orthodox Church, because the Western countries are actually against the Orthodox Church. Now, if you take Jackson Hinkle, he talks about this, and he talks about the Orthodox Church, and he talks about Shia religion and certain interaction between the Christians, and that is Orthodox Church. So when you say Orthodox Church, Protestants and others, they belong to the West. Okay, We are talking, when you say Christianity, we talked of the Orthodox Church with all their shortcomings, right? So I think South should be grateful to Donald Trump because he has exposed what the West is, and he has shown that the naked face of hegemonicism, 500 years of hegemonicism, and to overthrow the hegemonicism, there will be violence, there will be a lot of dislocation, a lot of people will die. That's the only way you can end this 500 years of hegemonicism, right? Now, if you take the earlier president and the vice president, okay, vice president of America, right? Now, what Donald Trump wanted to do was he wants to destroy the renewable energy sector, and he wants to use oil, and he wants to control oil. So he is actually behaving like a pirate incorporation or pirate ship, and that's why he invaded Venezuela, and that's why one of the reasons why they invaded Iran. Israel had different motives, but he wants to control the entire oil trade, and he wants to use oil trade to control the world. So there is no much difference between Donald Trump and Henry Kissinger. They have the same motive. They are two different, slightly different modes. So that's I talked about ICC. I talked about human rights. Human rights is not universal. It comes from Protestant Chintane, and human rights will be used by the West to have anal intercourse with the South. Okay, and later on they will drop like what they are trying to do to the ICC, not International Cricket Council, but International Criminal Court. Okay, so we have to watch for this use of human rights by the West to suppress us, the people in the South. Okay, now you have this AI industry. The Americans have invested a lot in the AI industry, and Chinese are attacking that industry, so that America will go in for a severe crisis. Now, when there is an agreement between this Oman and Iran, then Israel intensified their attack on Lebanon, because they want to destroy this agreement, right? Because that is against their interest. So they want to keep the wars going. And even if you take the Americans, whether it is Bill Gates or not Bill Gates, if you take Barack Obama or Clinton or anything, they had these wars going on because that's a part of the military defense complex, right? It is not Donald Trump only, but it's also all the other presidents too, right? So this is Donald Trump is good because he is very frank and he doesn't hide his intention. He really shows the naked face of hegemonicism. 500 years of hegemonicism, he shows the naked face of it. So we have to destroy this 500 years of hegemonicism. To destroy that, you have to get rid of fiat reserve currency. Okay? Now, if you take China and Russia, they don't want to destroy this economic system because they think they benefit from this. And at the same time, they are using the BRICS, right, to have an alternate financial system override, bypassing US dollar. So as long as you have the US dollar, you will have these remnants of the hegemonism. Okay, they have the remnants of the. So Chinese don't want to destroy the system now because they can't sell their products to the world. If you have severe crisis in the oil market, then Chinese can't earn money. So they are a little bit ambiguous, right? They want to get rid of the dollar, but they don't want to destroy the present economic system. If you have this present economic system, dollar will dominate. That means you can't override this 500-year hegemonism. If you take hegemonism, Queen Victoria is a symbol of that hegemonism, not Donald Trump or anybody else, not Henry Kissinger or anybody, but Queen Victoria must be the symbol. We should get rid of it. And when it comes to human rights, we should understand that the West is going to use human rights against South, just as they use ICC, International Criminal Court. And when you say ICC, people talk about International Cricket Council, but I am talking something else. So you have to go and do some research on Yugoslavia, how West uses. Don't accept what I am saying, okay? And see how NATO fought against Gaddafi, and NATO used the certain aspects of the UN to destroy Gaddafi and destroy certain amount of orthodox power in former Yugoslavia. So that means in the South we should never trust the UN, because UN is the arm of, and UN was used to consolidate Sykes-Picot agreements. And if you take Israel, it comes from the Sykes-Picot agreement. It comes later on. It comes in 1948 officially. Sykes-Picot agreement comes in 1919. So I think what Iran is trying to do is going to make Sykes-Picot agreement SYKES, okay? PICOT, there's a T, PICOT, that's a French word. So it is Picot, but it's Picot. Sykes is a British person. And what Iran is doing is, they are trying to erase the Sykes-Picot agreement. So that we should support Iran, whether it contribute to violence or not. I mean, that's the price you have to pay for it. And Israel comes as an extension of the Sykes-Picot. That's my understanding of the Sykes-Picot agreement. Because after you divided the Ottoman Empire, then it was easy to establish what I would call a colony, or what they would call protectorate of United Nations. So I am saying United Nations had colonies in West Asia, right? So I touched upon a lot of things. I touched upon human rights, I touched upon ICC, I briefly mentioned about International Cricket Council, then I touched about how the West used ICC, but when the ICC is used against Netanyahu, they want to destroy the ICC. The same way they use human rights against us, but when something comes against human rights, they will say sovereignty and say we will not accept this human rights idea. Then I talked about per capita income. I said that per capita income is not a measurement in sustainability. Per capita income is when it goes beyond certain limit, it's not even measurement of economics. It's a bookkeeping, it's an accountancy measurement, right? I'm saying you should have marginal returns on per capita income. If that means I'm totally against Newtonian economics. Newtonian economics means you can grow forever. You can grow forever, right? So I talked about that. I said that we should, in the South, we should support Donald Trump because he has contributed to the destruction of this 500-year hegemonster or hegemonstrism.